Here is my final thought for the night and also the week. The Wall Street Journal recently published an op-ed arguing that the WNBA needed to better protect its star, Caitlin Clark, or maybe have the federal government step in. Long story short, Clark is posited as the face of the league and chief asset, and she gets fouled way too hard or way too often, something, she's fragile, all Caitlins matter, blah, blah, blah. The federal government stepping in and taking over a private pro sports league in the name of civil rights? You heard that right. That's what the Wall Street Journal argued, or at least one writer in the Wall Street Journal. So much for small government. The op-ed was written by Sean McClain, founder of Origin Advocacy, a lobbying firm, not a sports organization. He previously served in the first Trump White House and the offices of Senator Ted Cruz. If you're looking for any sports or basketball bona fides, he has none. All political. Note, the op-ed was published in the Wall Street Journal, the home of all things sports and women's basketball. Or not at all. Sounds like Mr. McClain doesn't want to keep politics out of his sports. But it did finally filter down to actual sports news outlets. ESPN host and face of the network and possible future presidential candidate Stephen A. Smith weighed in a day or two later, saying that he believed President Trump could spark an investigation into Caitlin Clark regarding her WNBA treatment purely for political gain. Not the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, which would be the appropriate venue, but the president himself. Again, not exactly keeping the politics off our sports dinner plates. Here's what Smith had to say.
I am not guessing on this. I didn't go on my show and just bring it up for no reason. I happen to know a few people who have said this is something that do not be surprised that President Trump speaks on eventually. And if that man decides that this is something that can feed his base, that can ingratiate himself with that kind of audience that is protective of a Caitlin Clark and what she stands for and what she represents, and they come to a conclusion that they believe she is being unfairly treated, that is going to be a problem for the WNBA.
That's Stephen A. Smith on Caitlin Clark. You may remember that we discussed the new LA 28 Olympic Task Force that President Trump created through an executive order, and he himself is heading up the task force. What his specific duties are or will be, I have no freaking idea. I honestly don't know. He knows nothing about Olympic sports. But you may remember that in his announcement the other day, he celebrated how the task force would make sure no men will steal, his word, steal trophies from women. I don't want to be the one to inform him that the Olympics doesn't give out trophies, but medals, but somebody should.
Thank you, Gene, very much. And thank him for recently banning men from competing in women's sports. That's a big deal. Thank you very much. It's amazing the way I don't hear any applause for that when everyone feels it. It's a 97. Don't worry about it, Gene. That's a 97-3. It's not 80-20. It's 97-3. But nobody wants to clap. It's crazy. The United States will not let men steal trophies from women at the 2028 Olympics, so we appreciate the fairness and everything else that you've shown also.
I hope you've noticed that that's a whole lot of politics in sports, overtly, intentionally, with the goal of not only shaping competition, but inputting political ideology in the process. Oh, I'm all for fair play and competition, but that's what a WNBA commissioner is for. That's what a WNBA players union is for. Caitlin Clark has a union rep. She doesn't need the president of the United States or the DOJ intervening. There's a fully capable system and process to handle all and off-court grievances. It's in this thing called the collective bargaining agreement. As for the Olympics, which is just heard, there's already an IOC, there's a FIBA, and I hate to break it to folks, but the President of the United States doesn't have any sway over how the games will be run in 2028. Zero. Just in case you know anything about sports. The reason I bring all this up is because the NFL season is beginning, and tonight on the TV, we had the Raiders and the Seahawks playing on the TV in the studio. And I fully expect the president at some point to have something to say about the NFL and its players. At some point, you can bet on it. At some point. And the NFL players will be asked about this or that going on in the world. They'll be asked about something the president may have said. They will express themselves. Why? Because they are Americans like you and me. The NBA players will have their opportunities to express themselves too. And when they do, I don't want to hear anything about how you don't want politics in sports. You absolutely don't mind it. In fact, you want it, just as long as your politics are the ones being featured and nobody else's. I mean, it could be politics in sports. It could be race and gender. It could be religion. Far too many people today will say that they don't mind if race is brought into any subject, just so long as it's what they already believe about race or black and brown people or trans people or immigration. The president does it every single day if you're paying attention. And those who are okay with it are those who just happen to agree with him. But you don't mind politics in your sports or race on your radio station or religion in your schools, just as long as it reflects what you want and already believe, or the God you pray to, or the gender you date/marry. You don't mind when I talk about trans women not competing with cis women. You don't mind that. You eat that stuff up. You don't mind that stuff about politics and sports mixing. But the moment I mention bananas thrown on the field at black soccer players, it's like, hey, Mo. Why do you always make it about race? Don't bring politics into my sports. I got it. I hear you. I read your messages. So as long as you are affirmed, it's okay. You don't mind politics and sports mixing. How do I know? Because I've not heard a single peep about needing to keep politics out of sports since January 20th of 2025. Funny how that seems to work. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly.